Welcome to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. We're here with the President, CEO, and Executive Director of the whole operation, Kathleen DiChiero. Kathleen, a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Good. And I'm here with my co-host, my perennial co-host, Frank Masiosi, also of Summit. Frank, it's great to be here. We've been waiting to do this with Kathleen for the last few months.
We have been. This is just, it's an amazing facility.
Well, we've heard from Anthony Guido about the facility being about 6 football fields.
Yes.
But starting here is an interesting place because as we walked in, we see Thanks Bruce with a signature from the boss, and we see the poster over here.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about Bruce Springsteen's connection here, and then we want to take a tour with you.
Yes, he has been a friend and supporter of the food bank for more than 25 years. Back when we were in a farmer's slaughterhouse in Newark, he called up and said he wanted to come to help, just no publicity. And he showed up, he backed in trucks, he worked in the warehouse, and he's just been that kind of a friend. In one of our other buildings, when shortly after we purchased it, the roof fell in. I received a check Christmas Eve for $50,000. In this building, again, we ran out of money. He did a concert and raised $230,000 for us. And those who follow his concerts here in New Jersey have seen us outside because he always talks about us during his concerts and allows us to be there to collect funds.
With that, let's walk and talk as we go through, because I think it's important for our viewers to see really the heart of what goes on here. And as you look at all these pallets stacked with food, it's phenomenal. Anthony had mentioned to us, and you had mentioned to us beforehand, 37 million pounds of food per year.
Yes, last year that's what we did. And in 2008, we did 23 million pounds. So we had a growth of over 60% in a 2-year period, trying to keep up with the growing need in New Jersey.
And that really is the demand of the people in New Jersey with the economy going poor and whatnot.
The number of layoffs. We have those senior citizens. I mean, when the gasoline prices and food prices rose, it hit the working poor as well as everyone else. And we see that happening again.
Now you have donors from all over New Jersey, don't you? Yes,
we do. And we cover 18 of the 21 counties. We have a second warehouse, much smaller than this, right outside Atlantic City, where we cover Atlantic, Cape May, Cumberland, and parts of Burlington. And then we have smaller food banks, one in Monmouth County and another in Phillipsburg, that we provide food to cover that area.
We should put across the bottom of the screen where if people want to donate, they can send their donations.
Yes, that would be wonderful. The easiest thing is to go to our website, which is njfoodbank.org. And they can contribute on the website, or they can come and volunteer. We last year had over 26,000 volunteers who came to the building to help us, and we certainly need that help.
That's impressive. And just one final thing for our viewers as we're starting out here. We've seen the docks where the food comes in, the warehousing, but this is really what happens in terms of the processing that we'll see in a little bit. Describe these packages to us that are right in front of us.
These are probably picked up from our retail store pickup. We have over 200 pickups a week, stopping at the ShopRites, at King's, at Stop and Shop, all of them to pick up donated produce, sometimes rotisserie chickens. The big thing is this will go to a charity, not to an individual, at least from us. We're helping the soup kitchens, the emergency pantries, and we have made a big push over the last few years to really try to concentrate on healthy, nutritious food.
That's a smart push, obviously, especially for the people that it's reaching.
Yes, and it meant at times that we started this in 2004, that we turned down donations if we felt, maybe it was all soda. And that might be nice for someone to have a party, but we want to concentrate on things like this with the potatoes that have come in.
The staple foods.
Yes,
right?
and we do have a nutritionist on staff who not only helps us, but helps the charities we work with.
Here we are in the cavernous warehouse of the Community Food Bank. We're here with the Director of PR, Anthony Guido. And Frank, I'll tell you, this is pretty incredible, isn't it? When you look at the space here. Anthony, what are we talking here in terms of the total size of the food bank and what we're looking at behind us?
Yeah, our facility here in Hillside is 280,000 square feet. We like to say it stretches 6 football fields if you lay it all out. And yeah, this is rows and rows of dried goods, food storage and fresh produce, freezer space. We've got our kids division. There's a lot of facets. Our community kitchen. It's a lot that goes into our 280,000 square feet.
It's pretty amazing. And Frank, behind us, what would you estimate this distance back behind us, going into the distance?
I mean, I think we're looking at 2 of the football fields right here. It looks like 200 yards.
It does. And just some of the overall statistics you were sharing with us. The number of agencies that come here for food is about 1,500. Right.
And they span 18 of the 21 counties. We have agencies that come here. We also distribute to some, and then we've got partner food banks, smaller food banks in different counties that work directly with clients in their area. So all totaled, we work in 18 of the 21 counties of the state.
I like the way, Frank, you said it. It's like the wholesale and retail side. So it's really, these are the retailers, the 1,500 that come here and pick up food, but you have partners that bring food to you. And how many are there of those partners?
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly hundreds. There are about 90 supermarkets that we pick up from 2 or 3 times a week, and then we've got hundreds of other food donators and partners from the high level nationally with the USDA all the way down to local farmers and producers in the state here that we purchase food and receive food donated from in total.
And how many employees to do all this?
We've got about 125, 130 employees here in Hillside, and then another 25 or 30 or so at our branch in Egg Harbor Township, our southern branch. So it's more than 150 full-time staff making this happen.
Well, we'll talk more about all the statistics in the background. It's a perfect segue now to meet one of the employees. So why don't we go over here? Yeah. We're going to walk into the kids division, which is several rooms that we'll look at. But running the kids division here, where we check goods out, is
Kemi Benjoko.
Kemi, pleasure to meet you. And this right here, the kids division, is 2 parts really. It's where teachers can come and get supplies for school.
Right, that's our Tools for Schools Resource Center. Teachers can shop twice a year, and that's Kemi's job. She'll check in teachers and provide them with their shopping lists and the limits and time constraints that they have to shop. But they can shop twice a year for free. It's a wonderful program for sure.
And Kemi, we just had a teacher, I guess, here that just came through with a shopping cart. What was in it, and what are the different type of items, supplies that the teachers will pick out when they're here?
Yes, we have various supplies. It really varies. We have incentive for teachers to grab, but a lot of times teachers are really excited to get copy papers because it's the #1 supply that they really need in the classroom. A lot of times teachers have to buy their own copy paper and use them in the classroom for the kids. And we have pencils, we have pens, we have erasers, we have notebooks. We have pretty much the basic essential needs for kids to use in the classroom.
That's impressive. And you're impressive. You've been on TV before, right?
Yes, I have.
You're a natural. Well, thank you so much.
You.
And with that, why don't we go in and we'll see the different rooms. We'll walk in, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Kim. Now, as we walk in here, the 2 rooms that we have are equipped first with supplies and then with the clothes.
Yeah, this is the resource center, the Tools for Schools area, where the teachers, you just saw one about to check out, and there are others milling about here, can choose the different items that they want to shop for. Then we have our kids closet in the back, which is free clothing for children in the same low-income school districts that maybe help them get through the winter with warm coats or jackets or different clothing pieces that they need, and all of that is donated as well to us.
So Anthony, we just came out of this warehouse behind us. Frank, it reminds me of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, that last scene where they're putting the crates away. But as we walk forward here, we have any combination of binders. We have file folders. We have stamp equipment. We have glue. We have basic essential items that teachers would need for their classrooms. And Frank, if you talk with Anthony for a moment, I'm going to bring some items back that we saw earlier.
Okay. Anthony, we talked about staff before. But that number, the number that you gave us for staff?
Yeah, roughly 150 between our two locations.
Now, they don't do all the work, though, do they?
No, absolutely. I mean, in 2010, we had 27,000 volunteer visits, gave us over 60,000 hours of service, and certainly we couldn't do, a fraction of what we accomplished without them. And certainly in a room like this, they help us restock the shelves, put everything in order, get things ready for the next round of teacher visits. So it's crucial what the volunteers do for us, for sure.
Fred, what do you have there, Fred?
We always get asked by people, Anthony, if you could just hold those for a second. We always get asked by people, and what stations will this show be on?
Okay, let's see. What do you have here? We have.
How is this?
Hold it right. Okay, you got it right. It's 36 on Comcast,
right, and
33 on Verizon.
Yes.
We couldn't find a T or a V, but they'll figure that
Close
out.
enough, right?
Yeah, very good.
We go out to 25 towns, but this is where we'll be showing. But it's interesting, again, all that you have here, Anthony, just with all the different items.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's important to note is that teachers would either have to go into their own pocket to provide these types of items in their classrooms or go without it, and that really puts students at a disadvantage. So that's a big part of why we're doing this, to help children in these low-income districts have a fighting chance and the supplies they need to learn properly.
And with what people take for granted, why don't we just walk into this next room here, because these are the school supplies, but these are basic life supplies right here for getting to and from school, the clothing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right?
The same school districts that we serve with the Tools for Schools program, we also receive notifications from teachers and principals that there are students out there who don't have the clothes to get through the winter season, for example, that we're in now. So we get new coats, we get sweaters and all sorts of gear to help them get through. And the ages vary and the supplies vary, and it's all donated product. It's wonderful. And this is another area the volunteers help us greatly in terms of stocking shelves and helping us keep things in order.
So all here for infants,
smaller children,
smaller
sure.
children, right?
Yeah, all the way up to sweatshirts and jeans on the other side of the wall. It's really a big variety that come in.
Yeah. I see back there different sweatshirts. I saw before more of the outerwear for winter.
Yeah,
sort of the down
that's
coats.
certainly where we are right now, and that's a big thing. If students don't have proper nutrition, if they don't have proper equipment, but also if they're not properly clothed, that all negatively impacts their ability to perform in the classroom. So this is another big piece that helps us make the education work better in the state.
Frank, what's pretty astonishing is as we talk with Anthony, we get to develop an understanding of the community food bank. In New Jersey, we figured the community food bank in and of itself is taking care of about 10% of New Jersey's population.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really.
And when you think about that number, from what I understand, within the past 2 years alone, because of the downturn in the economy, you've gone in terms of an increase of 60% of supplies given out to and about 37 million pounds of food?
Yeah, we went from distributing 23 million pounds of food all the way up to 37. So certainly the number has grown, and that helped us to feed 900,000 people last year. So it's really a significant number, and the rise continues. It's really astonishing out there.
Well, we're here on the dock with Elena Iglesias. Elena, good morning.
Good morning.
And can you tell us the name of your church?
It's Iglesia Jesucristo es el Señor, which is Jesus is Lord Church in Elizabeth.
Okay. And now what is the relationship between your church and the community food bank?
We partner with the food bank. We're a food pantry to help the needy.
And how many people do you provide food to?
We service anywhere from 2,300 to 2,700 a month.
Frank, what I found interesting, Elena was saying before we started talking here, that you service people from how many different counties? It's like a number of counties around New Jersey.
Yes.
And even though you're located right in downtown Elizabeth on routes 1 and 9.
Yes, we're in Union County, but we do service Essex, Hudson, Bergen, Mercer, Warren, and Middlesex. Maybe a couple more. I don't recall.
And for the people that come to your church, this is basic survival for them. So we're standing right here in front of the 50-pound sacks of potatoes and whatnot. This is very important for them. This is staple food.
Yes, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have jobs now, and that's the big issue. A lot of kids, a lot of seniors come, a lot of disabled people, a lot of older people that are just surviving on their Social Security checks, and it's not enough.
So thank you very much for all that you do, because I don't know how the people who are hungry would get along without you.
Well, we do it for God's glory because the church is there to serve, and that's part of what we do is serve the community.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, this is quite a trip, Frank. Here we're getting chauffeured by the president, executive director herself.
This is great. I'm enjoying it back here.
And yet, in a way,
You don't know about my driving record.
we're going to find out. Yeah, just go slow. But I think it's sort of apropos that we're here driving around in this small golf cart because legend has it that you began the Community Food Bank of New Jersey out of your station wagon.
Oh, I did.
So take us back to the earliest days as to your earliest inspiration.
Well, I think I was, it was back in '71 that I really became involved in hunger as an issue when a nun friend of mine who was working at a hospital in Bangladesh had a nervous breakdown because of the cartloads of children's bodies who had starved to death. And so my first instinct was send money. And then I was involved in other things, but I became interested in the whole issue of world hunger. And shortly after we moved to Summit, there was great famine in the Sahel in Africa. There was rising prices for beef prices in United States that people were struggling with. And I all of a sudden thought, I looked down and said, where my feet are planted is part of the world. I wonder what might need to be done right here in Summit, where I had only recently moved.
I love that line, though, Frank. Where my feet are planted, this is where I am, kind of a thought.
Yeah, there's something to learn from that, isn't there?
It sounds biblical. So say that again.
Well, I looked and said, where my feet are planted is part of the world, too. And that in looking at world hunger, it's not just how far away do I look in the world. I'm part of the world. And it was interesting. There were some people at that time who said, you're new to Summit. We don't have hungry people here. And there was nothing mean-spirited about that. It was just that in many ways the hunger that existed then, and oftentimes now, was more of a hidden hunger.
And it does exist in Summit even.
Yes. Yes, it does. It did then, and it did now. It was before the time of senior housing in Summit, and initially, most of the people that were brought to my attention were seniors, getting by on so little. The other interesting thing was that although I gave my home phone number out everywhere I could think of, Overlook Hospital, Summit Welfare Department, other houses of worship, no one who was without food called me. Rather, a neighbor would call and say, I'm concerned about this little lady on my street who I don't think is getting very much food. Or I know of this family where the husband's out of work and I know they're struggling. I'm embarrassed to say anything to them. And so I would go. And I can remember one time going up to a third floor. It was on Summit Avenue, close down near one of the main streets there, and I had to go around the back, and it was apartments that were up over stores, and someone had said that the family there was having a hard time. It was a very warm day, and I went up the 3 flights of stairs carrying 2 big bags of groceries, and when I got there, a man answered the door and looked at the groceries and said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I heard you might need some help." Well, he was very angry and told me no, he didn't need any help. He didn't know who said that. So I just put the bags down and said, well, I guess I made a mistake, but I'm not carrying these back down. Please find someone who can use them. And I left. About 2 weeks later, the man called me, and he said, I need to apologize. He said, I was so hurt that I wasn't able to provide for my family. I've been out of work for a couple of months. And he said, but I'm working now, and I've got a bag of groceries I'd like to have you share with someone.
That's a powerful story, isn't it?
Yeah.
just the pride of people not wanting to admit to not being able to provide for their family and the most basic needs of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a tremendous pride in that, that people feel that if they can't provide for themselves or their family something basic, and, you know, with very good intention, we have said things like, it's more blessed to give than to receive. Makes you feel kind of good when you're giving, but feel not so blessed when you have to have help. So we have to, you know, think through carefully when we say things like that.
So as we're moving through here, we're coming into which section now is this?
We're going to be, there's two areas. One is our kitchen, where we have a job training program for the food service industry, and the other is what we call our clean room, where with volunteers we rebag or bag bulk donations. A couple of years ago when the rice prices went up like crazy, we bought rice in Arkansas in 2,000-pound bags, and then have volunteers help us rebag it into family size, and we save 60% on the price.
Impressive. So here we are in one of the sorting areas.
Yes. Well, what they're doing in our kitchen, one of the things the students do is every day we're preparing meals for about 1,500 children, where we partner with community organizations that have after-school programs. So they're getting some of the orders ready to go out to some of our kids' cafes. Do you want to come in and see the kitchen?
Please, if we can, yes, thank you. Frank, we're with Kathleen in yet another one of the nerve centers here at the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Looks like the kitchen.
It does, right? Yeah.
It is, and we have this marvelous job training program for the food service industry. This class, I think, has been in session about 3 or 4 weeks now. It's a 14-week course, and we do wonderful in job placement. And all students are given full scholarships to attend. While they're here, along with learning culinary skills, they are preparing meals for our kids' cafes. We partner with after-school programs where there's tutoring going on, and we will provide the food for a hot meal for about 1,500 kids every day. And as you mentioned before, life skills is part of what we train here. That's an important part of the program, that people are exposed to the idea of the values that are expected by an employer, but also those things that help get us by in life.
When you started, did you ever imagine that you'd be running an organization this size?
No. I'm known to be a big dreamer, but this was far exceeded any dream that I have.
Well, we've seen so much. What else do we have left to see here that you'd like us to see?
Well, I think that another part of our warehouse where we work with so many of our volunteers, you'll see a clothesline where we hang up T-shirts from schools, community groups, corporations who send their volunteers here.
Great. Well, why don't we go there then?
Okay,
Great.
Sounds good.
So we're going to go through the food sorting and salvage area. Frank, what's interesting as Kathleen's taken us through here is just the entrepreneurial, innovative spirit. You get a sense talking here in 2011 why the Community Food Bank is so successful. With Kathleen's thinking behind it early on, you can see how it grew to where it is.
Yeah. You know, while you were over there a minute ago, I asked Kathleen what her undergraduate major was, because I figured it must have tied into this entrepreneurial effort. And she was trained to be a school teacher, so there you go.
These are T-shirts of the corporations, schools, community groups who have come to volunteer at the food bank. Many times there'll be 300 people in the room volunteering.
So area schools should know they can organize and come down here to volunteer?
Oh, yes. And, you know, it's interesting, having been doing this for so many years, you do get a certain perspective. You see how things change. Volunteerism is one of the places where things have changed since I first began.
How so?
Always there were kids at school who volunteered in their community, and that volunteering was seen as a nice thing nice kids did after school. And now schools are beginning to say, wait a minute, this is part of citizenship education. And as valuable as it is, perhaps, to take a group of kids to see a museum, it is as valuable to take a group of kids and have them volunteer. Corporations, oftentimes, all the time, had people who worked for them who did good things in their communities. But it was not clear, and maybe they got a plaque for it or something, but it was not seen as tied in to the corporate. Now, the corporate value statements include things that say, we support volunteerism. They will give employees a day that they can come and volunteer. They oftentimes make donations based on these are places that their employees are volunteering.
And so if people want to get involved through your website, or if they want to donate food or funding.
If they go to our website, it will direct them who to contact if they want to volunteer. Our volunteer department is listed there, our food sourcing department, and our fund development department are all there, and they can, or they can call here. Our phone number is 908-355, and then food.
Okay.
And that's 3663.
908-355-FOOD or 908-355
3663.
3663. All right. Well, this has been amazing, Frank. I had warnings as to expect all the good things down here, but I never knew it was as massive or as complex or as wide-reaching as all that you're doing here, Kathleen. This is an incredible tribute to you, your board, your volunteers, and all the agencies and partners you have.
Thank you. I certainly hope I'm humble, but this is not so much out of humble, but I know I get way too much credit. So many people have made this possible. From the very beginning, people really wanted to help. When I first started out in Summit, I think I used to assail my neighbors. They wanted to put their hands over their ears when they'd see me coming, because I was in houses where people didn't have Indeed. I held senior citizens in my arms and cried with them out of their frustration of not having food. So, that was where all my focus was, on those who hungered for food. But it was very quickly that I learned there's a spiritual hunger as real as the physical hunger, and that's a hunger on the part of good people to help. Oftentimes they don't know how or where. So part of our mission has always been to respond to both the physical but the spiritual hunger as well, to say, here's where you can help.
That's an amazing way to close our show here. Frank, we're definitely going to have Kathleen back to the studio, because this story is far larger than I would have ever anticipated. We need to hear more from you. We've never closed a show from a golf cart before.
Never before.
So if you can take it from the back of the cart.
This is it. Well, thank you. Thank you for being with us. Kathleen, thank you for showing us around, and thank you for watching.